All right, call the meeting to order at 5:05 PM. You have a chance to review the minutes, so Mark's reviewing you.
I did.
Comments?
Nope. Entertain a motion to, make a motion to,
We'll let Mark finish reading them if he wants.
Go ahead. I'm almost done, go ahead.
oh, when you finished.
Doesn't talk like it either.
I wonder if this is one.
Yeah, I'm surprised you weren't whining about it.
5,000.
You can make a motion now.
I make a motion to, accept the minutes of the Monday, May 19th meeting? No, gonna be May 19th.
May 5th.
May 5th.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we have the warrants and refunds for your signature. Next item on the agenda, James Hoyt from Tata and Howard to update us on all the things we're spending all this money on, you guys.
Good news is we've got a lot to show for it lately, right?
Thank you.
I'm James Hoyt, Senior Project Manager at Tate Howard. Pleasure to meet you.
Yep.
Nice.
So, just handing out, I gave you one, right?
Yeah.
So handing out an updated project schedule just to kind of show where we're tracking. So we brought with us today the plans and specs. So our hope is that sometime between now and the first board meeting in June, you guys can take a look at it. Let us know if you have any feedback on the design. So we left a full size, and then there are also 4 half-size sets for you to, share, take home, etc. We are, pretty close with these to being what we would call as-bid documents. So we're doing some, coordination between all of the subs at this point. So, we gave you a set previously. We had just gotten our subs. We hadn't even looked at them. We have now done our cross coordination between our process and sent all that feedback to them. Their updated plans are trickling in. Some of these are plans that have been updated, since then. Some, like the structural, haven't gotten back to us yet because they had, some more work to do. But we're still kind of picking away at some things where, the electrical and the mechanical engineer maybe are fighting over some wall space. So pretty minor stuff. At the same time, we owe you specs. I thought I was bringing them tonight, but I don't know if you know this, but we're moving offices, 5 minutes down the road in Marlboro, and we did not get our occupancy permit on Friday like we expected. So we don't currently have an office this week. So we're moving in next week. We outsourced all of our printing and we missed the cutoff on the specs getting printed. So I'll be either mailing or having someone drive you a set of the specs if you guys want to look at those as well.
At least have a set in the office with the plans.
Okay. So, yeah, we can bring as many copies of the spec as you want. We tried calling Staples and they have a 1,000 page cutoff, and double-sided there's like 1,246 pages or something. So if you guys want to read it cover to cover, you can kill some
About
time.
half of that, all the boilerplate for the.
I mean, it's a lot of, yeah, you know the deal, right? A lot of the required stuff that we need to put in just because of SRF, right? So and they make us put in all the BABA stuff, only for us to then say, hey, we're exempt from BABA, but you still have to put it all in there,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of dead weight in there, a lot of empty, boilerplate, as you said. And then all the fun stuff is, the technical stuff at the back. And then also the appendices are, chunky, so. So we'll get that to you. So the plan is still to advertise that first week of June. And then, you can kind of see the schedule, how we placed it out. And what we're doing this week is formally requesting an extension from DEP to award the contract in accordance with this schedule. So that's why we wanted to just kind of show where we're at. The good news is we've cleared all the hurdles. Everything that was making us nervous about getting approval from DEP to bid, that's all been resolved in the last couple of weeks. We got our permit back from DEP. We were very pleased that there were no crazy conditions in it, no modifications to our design, so we don't have to essentially edit our plans and specs as a result of deficiencies they found in the design we submitted. So that's, what the big thing that you're always wondering when that comes in, the technical review from DEP. We also have the SRF program's full support to get out to bid ASAP. So Patricia Arp from DEP is, checking in. We've been giving her status updates, right? So when we got the EIR, we let her know that. And this, as you know, within 24 hours of getting the EIR cert, we were into DEP. 2 weeks later, we're like, hey, have you guys looked at this yet? And to their credit, this is one of the faster turnarounds we've seen from DEP on any of our projects this year. So I don't know if SRF put in a good word for us or what, but all that happened on schedule. And then the last piece was, we just need confirmation of funding, and that passed. Hopefully you guys it wasn't painful for you to get that passed?
No, there were no questions.
Okay. So that was kind of the last thing, is like they won't let us go out to bid without the appropriation. We're gonna have to just show that the money's there, not necessarily, at this point, we're not awarding before your next fiscal year, right? If you look at the schedule, we'll be, lucky if we're awarding by the end of July. But because by the letter of the SRF program, we were supposed to award by the end of June, we are 1 month late. And they did all of a sudden after, since October, we've been having two-way conversations. Don't worry about it, don't worry about it. You were the only ones who were on time last year, don't worry about it. All of a sudden, there's a change of administration, and they want us to put it in writing that we need an extension. So if the schedule looks good to you all, then we will put in the extension and send them the schedule. And their feedback was, hey, as long as you don't show this, going into August, it should be no problem.
Have you done anything with the planning board for the special
So
permit?
we sent a set along to them, planning board, saying, like, hey, we reach out saying, per the letter of your website, it looks like this could take, 60 days or something. Can we get a jump on this, or is there a way to, not have it take 60 days? And he's, what's this? Is it Hugh?
Hugh Hurley.
Hugh
Yep.
said, oh, send me a set of the drawings so we know what we're up against. We sent those probably a week and a half ago. We haven't heard back from them. So we can ping him again. I don't know if you want to reach out to him.
Well, I talked to him, and I actually gave him my half-size set of the previous version
Okay,
a few weeks ago.
yeah.
But they need to see something, because he said it does require a special permit where it is in the watershed.
Yeah, so I mean, our preference would be to get in front of him as soon as he's ready for us.
You should get a hold of him right away.
You might want to reach right out to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, Concom wants to look at the stormwater stuff. We have to submit the Title V to you. So, we're doing all of that at the same time. We are, planning to move forward. And if, things do come up at those meetings, we'll have to address them by addendum. If, it's after that June 11th, I think, right, is the date we're saying plans and specs are available. So if we don't have.
It probably will be, at least for the planning board.
Right.
The Title V stuff on this isn't a big deal.
Yeah, we
I don't know
have a
about the
tight
Concom.
tank, yeah. And then again, the stormwater stuff should be easy because the Concom agent was working with us during the whole EIR process. So they've seen these plans, for months now. So really, planning board's the only one that we're nervous about, and anything that comes out of that we have to adjust, we will adjust by addendum. You know, we prefer to do it by addendum than change order for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But whatever, you know, if there are any provisions we need to do, you know, if they have any disagreements with the code review or architect did, for example, you know, we'll have to coordinate it with the architect to get it fixed in
I
the
think a lot of
plans.
it is gonna be more about what's going on the site as relates to like this watershed, the watershed protection district special permit requirements,
Okay,
which I think you're pretty good on most of the stuff. Anyway.
yeah, I would think, I can't imagine after going through that whole.
But
EIR.
they're usually the ones, they'll send out the stormwater kits, you know, that, they send stuff out to a outside consultant, so you might have to definitely contact them as quickly as possible. And
Okay,
might take a meeting.
okay. Yeah, I mean, again, we were in the impression it was in Hughes Court, but we'll reach out and make sure.
Well, just because our schedule is tight enough that you can't just leave it like that.
Yeah, no, I understand. So, okay. But yeah, again, we're happy to have cleared all those big hurdles.
Yep.
You know, obviously planning board is another one that, you know, that's clear. But we don't anticipate holding up our schedule while we pursue it, just because we don't want to jeopardize, you know, the SRF piece.
Does SRF know that the cost of the project increased?
So,
I know they were saying submit it, they knew it was gonna happen, but
so yes, but it hasn't been put in writing. We did everything the way Patricia Arp asked us to do it. I'll
Yeah.
put it that way.
Is there gonna be any additional cost estimate updates before the bid? Do you think, based on what you were seeing with with the subs and everything?
Nope. So the cost estimate, you know, that we showed you last time is our cost estimate. I mean, I'm gonna knock on wood, we've bid 2 large treatment projects and they both came in at or below our estimate. So we're cautiously optimistic that, you know, this construction season isn't one of those where everyone's, you know, double what we expect. And as we mentioned, we feel like we were pretty conservative on this cost estimate because we couldn't swing and miss on the number we went for the appropriation on. The only other piece on, you know, the Sear Norman one is that, you know, I think we bought ourselves maybe a little time on the PFAS component. The latest, you know, guidance from EPA is that they're gonna go and take another look at the PFAS requirements.
Maybe relaxing the numbers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and at the very least, it seems like
Certain
it's an extension probably until 2031, I think
Yeah.
is the date I saw. So, you know, we had, you know, looked at a bunch of different scenarios, and if you recall, we looked at the rate study a bunch of different ways, but we always did that assuming, like, we would have to be in compliance by, you know, 2029. And if it is 2 years later, it may allow you to get a little bit past, you know, the 2 big projects you're doing now before, you know, you have to start doing the piloting, et cetera. Especially, you know, you might have to make a decision of what your goals are and whether they are just to be in permit or if you are, you know, looking to match what you have at Manly, which is non-detect, and see if it actually changes your treatment goals at all, or if we just, you know.
so out of the ECSDC, that meeting,
Yeah,
UMass Amherst does piloting. They do technical services to help and support water systems for free.
okay.
I don't know, I can reach out to them and ask them.
Yeah, definitely be worth, you know, doing. You know, we sub that work out and it's not
Yeah.
inexpensive.
Oh.
So, you know, if there's an opportunity for you to get, you know, assistance on that, you know, as long as they will do it to the level Mass DEP needs to,
Yeah,
for you to get your approval to construct permit, all that. And as long as they're willing to do the scope that, you know, we all in this room agree is the correct approach, then, yeah, we would support that, obviously.
Doesn't hurt to ask them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone's offering to do it for free,
Yeah.
possibly.
Anything else on Sear Norman?
No surprises on, from what we saw
No.
before to the
No.
final.
No, I think, we're pretty happy with the set as they are now. You know, we think we're really dialing it in. At this point, we're just kind of nitpicking, we're doing some of that last minute coordination. You know, we're going back through things with a fine tooth comb, make sure we don't have any embarrassing typos or
Yeah,
anything.
the
right?
electrical engineer's not running pipes,
Well,
wires through the copper pipe that
That's one of the things that
bathrooms
came
are
up
served.
is, you know, for some reason, we had a diesel generator on our site plan with natural gas running to it. So like, things like that come up, but you fix them. You know, and this set should hopefully, have gotten all those big obvious ones. Just, like I said, it's the minor coordination. And to be fair, well, we're gonna keep tinkering with it up until June
Right
10th.
right up till the day you print.
You know, we'll constantly be looking for things to, improve. The more interesting one at the moment, I guess, is Manly. There's a lot going on. I'm actually gonna pull up my cheat sheet. But June is gonna be a really busy month for the Manly plant. So the PFAS system delivery is currently set for May 27th. So that's good news, because as you may recall, we had to kind of get involved unofficially between the supplier and the contractor to figure out how we could get some of these materials released. And we were worried about delays and all of that. So it's good news that, we do finally have delivery dates on these PFAS vessels, on the PFAS media, and we have some direction now on the green sand replacement. So, long story short, it's looking like the first half of the month we'll be doing installing the PFAS vessels. Then the second half of the month is when we'll get the media installed. And then, once the vessels are in, we have to get those big valve trees in and then connect all the interior piping. Right now, all the below grade stuff is stubbed up, but once the vessels are in place, we have to connect it all up. So they'll be, doing that, kind of the middle of the month, and then hopefully we're getting media installed. And our goal would be that while that's happening, we're getting those green sand vessels ready so that you're maybe looking at only one shutdown, Wayne. Whereas before, we were pushing the green sand, get this done ASAP. But it took them so long, and at this point, I don't know if it really makes sense to do separate shutdowns and startups. So the update on that is we got the proposed change order from the contractor. Materials-wise, it came in right where we expected. Labor-wise, it came in high. So we did hop on a call and say, why is this high? And the contractor, has been very open and honest, saying, we just don't really have a great idea what it's gonna take. So we have all these sand valves, there are like 50 of them per vessel, and they're embedded in concrete. And their point is, until we get in there and figure out what it takes to bust up this concrete and get them out, he's like, I carried a lump sum price where I think we're gonna be okay, but I didn't come in with a number where you guys were gonna drop your jaws and say no. So I think what we had discussed was, we should do the first vessel probably at a time and materials basis. So, we will have somebody there full-time, making sure that the, equipment, tools, and labor, being used is being tracked, see what it really costs, and then we can at that point decide, if you want to just go time and materials all the way through, or at that point come up with a lump sum for the next 2 tanks after seeing how the first one goes. I was worried DEP was going to push back because they see time and materials sometimes and think that's a blank check, which is obviously not the case. As we'll, be on site, we'll be monitoring it, and we'll be requiring backup. So they did give us the okay to go with the time and materials. They just sent us a laundry list of information, so we're gonna get that out. But long story short, their cost estimate came in around $94,000 and change. which we thought would probably be in the $60,000 to $70,000 range. But the good news is we have like $184,000 of contingency. The only approved change order that we have to date was under $4,000 for some electrical upgrades. So what we have yet to approve, but are planning to approve, are some lighting improvements. But even if we did everything, right, so if we do the paving, we've kind of pumped the brakes on, we would still be within contingency. But not only that, but we're pursuing what we hope is a pretty sizable credit. So if you drive by the site, now that the building's kind of up, you'll notice that the existing stormwater swale kind of pinches in towards our new building and then wraps around. Originally, we showed them relocating that swale up the building just to improve access around the building. But after kind of seeing it all in there, talking to Wayne thinks we probably live with it. And the line item that they had for the swale was like $24,000. So assuming that there aren't other costs hidden in that line item that we're unaware of, we would suspect we'd be able to apply most of that credit towards either accomplishing the paving and then still have some credit left over to offset some of the cost of the tanks. So long story short, we are not in danger of going over our contingency.
And if the tanks take a little less than he was worried about, then that number should come down.
Exactly. So, you know,
I gotta go back.
yeah, no worries.
And you just told everybody.
Sorry. So just kind of refresh, we have $184,000 contingency. When you take into account the $20,000 credit, even the high price tag of 94, even the paving, even the lighting, even that little switch we added for the telemetry, we're under the contingency. The other item I wanted to discuss was our budget, which isn't bad news, but I don't know if maybe I should just wait before starting a new topic.
Stay away from Mark.
I guess any other questions, while we're waiting, any other questions on Manly, the schedule, or the budget?
I mean, so now everything that needs to be being delivered is being delivered with a schedule, so they should be able to punch this through and.
Yeah, I mean, we just need to see the contractor being on site a little bit more than they have been. And I think, from their point of view, they've been waiting on all of these other things. So, as Wayne knows, the GC hasn't been on site a whole lot. It's been mostly their subs kind of chipping away at stuff. But we think that's going to change in June. We think there's going to be, a lot of action there because the trades will still be around doing their thing. But now the GC is going to hopefully be in both buildings. So then in terms of our budget, we are tracking a little over budget on the CA, but we're tracking well under budget on the RPR phase. So it's just something we want to make you aware of, that we're going to monitor it. I think worst case scenario, we may ask your permission to move some funds from one phase to the other, but at the end of the project, you'll be under budget on the engineering as well. We're not over budget yet. We're just keeping an eye on it and want to make you aware that it might be a conversation next month if we continue tracking ahead on the CA. We may ask your permission to offset some of that with the savings you're going to have on the boots on the ground piece, which we were always hoping to overperform on the CA. We had to carry full-time everything the duration of the project because that's an SRF requirement. And as we talked about at the time, we're going to carry that and we're going to do our best to use common sense approach to when we're on site and when we're not. And that's been working as we anticipated. So there's not really a change there. So there will certainly be no amendment we know at this point you've asked for the money you have, so this is not, I'm not setting you up for a future amendment, that's not happening, but that's where we're at.
So no major hiccups, everything seems to be going,
Yeah, I mean, I think Visco, I mean, Wayne, let me know if you disagree, but I think Visco's been willing to work with us.
Right.
We clashed a little bit with them on the schedule. We clashed a little bit with Adage, honestly, on the schedule and the delivery date slipping and, it's kind of the finger pointing, but we've only really had minor issues and they've, no questions asked, fixed them. So, at this point, we don't have any reason to, think that's gonna change through the rest of the project.
okay. If there's no other questions, you have anything else?
I don't think so. Like I said, last time we gave you like a week, this time we're giving you 2 weeks, so I guess that's progress, right? To review the plans.
Yeah, actually, those are two sets of the small ones.
Oh,
right?
no, they're rolled up together.
Yeah, okay.
Because I literally picked them up from the printer. We had to outsource all of our printing because our office is shut down at the moment. So I literally picked them up from Neshoba Blueprint over in Hudson, who we used to use for all of our printing back when, we would have binders full of checks for bidding projects and everything. So it was a bit of a throwback for us.
How much is that change order?
So we're doing it time and materials, but the current estimate is about $94,000. I think it was 94,500 and something.
And he can't tell you how long it's gonna take to do the first tank?
So their estimate is 3 days per tank. We thought it would be a day and a half to 2 days per tank. So that's why instead of just saying, yes, we're gonna approve a change order for $94,500 some odd dollars, we wanna go on a time and materials basis and see what it actually takes to, so at least for the first tank.
We gave up one tank so that they can work on it in advance,
Yeah.
which is.
There's
when
3 tanks, so it's 30
Yes.
grand a tank.
Yes. But they're embedded in concrete. There's no way to get them out. You have to chip the concrete
Right.
until they go at it and see whether the concrete just falls and comes apart. And it's easy to do, and then they just patch it back up. Or if the concrete requires standing on it with an electric hammer drill, chunking out the concrete.
Blast. But we'll have somebody from your firm standing, looking down in the hole while they're chipping out to make sure they're
Yeah.
not.
I mean, to be fair, we're on site
Yeah.
for everything, but,
Do they tell you what they're giving you? What guys? and-
Yeah, so I'd be happy to send you guys the breakdown. 'Cause
I'd like to see that.
Absolutely. So I don't know if Wayne might already have it, but if not, I'll make sure Wayne has it to distribute to the board. If you have a card, I'm happy to, email.
And we don't know how thick the slab is?
I mean, we do. Yeah, we do. We just don't know in terms of the labor. So, I think we're just, is it truly 3 days of labor to chip them out, remove the
So
sand valve?
It's a confined space entry, so there's 3 guys right off the top to do that. And you can only have room for 1 guy in the tank. There's not that much space in the tank, or you'll be stepping all over the things you're inserting or taking out. So it will be a time-intensive kind of thing. I mean, if they can find a way to get 2 guys in there and work around it, that would be great, but.
I'm just trying to save the water
Oh,
department some money.
right, I understand
So,
that.
I'd like to,
I can tell you that you wouldn't fit in the tank.
thanks.
But yeah, I'd be happy to send the backup because it has, what tools they're charging us for, how many labor hours per tank, and then the material costs, and breaks out their markups and all of that, so you can see, exactly where the money's going, so to speak. And like I said, I'm hopeful we're gonna do better than 94,000 since we're, gonna be out there watching and holding them to it.
Do you know off the top of your head about how much the labor was?
Most of it, yeah.
So if it does drop from 3 days to 2 days,
It's
that'd be a
big
decent
portion.
saving on it,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, I mean, there are, like I said, 50 valves each, so, it is a lot of work. It's not, I don't think it's gonna be, it's certainly not gonna be fun. Whoever's in the tank's not gonna have a good day.
Yeah.
But that's why they get paid the big bucks, right?
No, that's why the guy who doesn't get paid.
That's
He's
true.
gonna be
They're
down
gonna get paid the
inside.
big bucks will be outside pointing, right?
Yeah. All right, yeah, if you can send that out,
Yeah, happy to.
through Wayne should be fine.
Okay.
And
Yeah, and I'll get it to them. I haven't seen it yet,
You have not,
but I
okay.
know it's just coming into place.
Yeah, we haven't done a formal change order with them yet, right? We've only, reviewed the proposed change order, called them and said, this is too much, what's going on? Them explain themselves and, so on and so forth.
and if they get in there and they find out the concrete comes up like nothing, because
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're saying, is it gonna come out like
Right.
Yeah.
global fill, or, did we get 10,000 PSI concrete?
All right, anything else for James? Nope. Wayne?
The only other thing is, if you're watching your engineering hours, remember that we have to, the ARPA funds.
Yes,
SRF won't pay for the engineering thing, so if you know what that is, make sure that we get the rest of it into the project somewhere.
yeah, good point.
I did reach out to them to get a number of what's remaining, and I didn't hear back from them. I'll reach out again.
Okay, yeah,
I'll
let's
include
know.
Art in the email.
Yeah, Victor and Barry are aware, and if we start to get too far into our billings, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Because I think the ARPA, there was a chunk for us, but there was still a chunk for the contractor too.
Right.
Which would reduce your, debt requirement, if you were able to pay for some of it with ARPA funds, then it doesn't end up on your loan.
Right,
No, if they gave us the money, we want to use it.
right, I wanna spend it
So,
down to the penny.
yeah, so for the contractor, that's something we have to be really careful of, that we don't, include funds in SRF and then we don't spend enough of the ARPA, and now you're, paying, I mean, I guess in this case, it's just, it's interest-free, right?
Still.
But so,
I don't have anything else.
All right,
all right, thank you.
thank you.
I'll plan on being here for your first June meeting, if that
Yeah.
works for you.
So that'll be
Second.
June 2nd.
Second?
Yeah.
Perfect, I'll plan to be here then. Thanks for your time,
All right, see you. Have a good ride back.
appreciate it.
Now, before the next piece on the agenda, got an email today, I think Wayne saw it, from David about the 3M,
Oh,
the
yeah.
lawsuit settlement on the PFAS class action suit. And we got, our first check came today for $157,000. We should be getting a second payment that'll bring it to $315 by the fall, and it looks like we're gonna end up from the 3M part of the settlement getting about $785,000 worth of PFAS, which comes off of
Yeah, that takes.
what we've been
depending on
spending
what-
on PFAS for the improvements, so that'll take out less money that we have to borrow.
Can you just state those totals again?
Yep, 157,000 was received. We should get 315,000 total by the fall. And then by the end, it's about 785,000.
So that's
And
just.
that's over 10 years.
So there were two
10
companies in
years.
the first round, I think it was 3M and Tiger, there was somebody else.
Yeah, he didn't list the other one in, so I don't know if this is just coming out of
And then
3M.
there's some other companies that
Yeah.
haven't figured out yet.
But I think out of all of them, 3M was that was supposed
Yeah,
to be the
they-
bigger one, so
I
the
think
other
they're
ones
trying
are
to
just
get through
being.
fast.
Yeah. All right. Next item of new business. Actually, does anybody else have any new business to bring up?
No.
Okay, the next item is going into executive session. If nobody objects, I want to put that after the old business so that Ben can, and then we won't come back to the meeting so that Ben can leave after we finish the old business. Is that okay? All right, then we'll move to old business. We just heard the stations 1, 2, 4, and 3, unless Wayne has anything he wants to add to it.
No, that was pretty much covered everything.
Okay, Communications Committee, I think we could probably take that off the
Yeah.
agenda going forward. I have been looking at the superintendent's job description, things for going forward that you gave, but I haven't actually gone and
Yeah.
put
I'll
anything
look at
written
it.
down
I
yet.
haven't put any time into it yet. Been trying to get to this point.
Yep. Cross-connection program. Any
So
update?
Phil did not have an issue with it. It is $600. It's coming up in July.
Okay, so he was okay with,
Yeah.
all right, that's good. I just wanted to ask, that's all.
Yep.
So, single class, so that as of July, there'll be,
There'll be 2 people that
Two
would
people
go. I haven't
certified.
mentioned it to them yet. I'll ask
Okay.
them if they're okay with it.
don't know why they wouldn't be, but that's fine. Other thing from old business that had come up, I don't have my minutes, at the last meeting when Noonan came in about
All
the.
right, so
Did-
2
did
years
you-
ago, I put up that sign. He was notified at that point
Yep.
that it was stopping. He had asked at that time, he said, well, I have a couple of things outstanding that I want to do, and suddenly he ramped up his business. Now, when I shut them people off, I physically throw a lever and a bolt goes through it. Nobody's getting water from that system that isn't allowed to get water from that system. There are only 2 people that are getting water from that system. It's Badger Daylighting and it's Body. And they're filling up Vector trucks and they take 200 to 300 gallons a day total. The other guy went overboard. He was creating a business suddenly that he was told he couldn't have. There's a reason I didn't attack him, because I didn't feel like being attacked. So I like everybody, whether I like them or not, I treat everybody the same.
How long has he been doing it?
He got away with it for almost 2 years.
No, how long has he been getting water out of West Bridgewater?
Oh, he's been forever, but he used to fill vending machines. All he ever came and got was like 1 tanker a week or a month, because I can see them, they list out on the SCADA system. And that's what he used to do. He filled the vending machines. He's gone somewhere else to fill his vending machines. I don't know where, but that's when he switched business models, when he was told that he couldn't.
So he's no longer, and.
There's a bolt through his
Yep.
thing.
So as of when we start working up there, everyone is shut off. There's no more water going.
Except for the 2 Vector trucks.
Well, when the plant's down,
Yeah.
They can pull it, they don't disturb the system. The other guys, when they pull 9,000 gallons back in and the plant's down, they stir up dirty water. 200, 300 gallons does not, as fast as they can turn that thing on, they're shutting it off. It never,
so the trucks will be pulling raw water then? It won't be, the plant will be down.
no, it's still connected to the street. It's always connected to the street.
But we won't be pushing water through.
No, we won't be
Plant,
treating
they'll be pulling it out from the.
Right,
All
it's just it's set up to backwards flow because we need it for the backwash water. We pull in at 900 gallons a minute to do a backwash. So 200 gallons in total is nothing. And like I said, it's a day, it's not repeated trucks coming in and out. And the trucks are actually parked here in West Bridgewater, they're all local. That's why they fill up here, because they're right here.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was gonna have to stop when the plant came down anyway.
Yeah,
But
no,
no,
like I understand why everybody's looking for water, because water has become a very scarce commodity. We've been in a drought. We were in a level 4 drought going through winter. We've come back up to a level 1, but I think we're gonna go back to a level 2.
yeah, lately it hadn't seemed like it.
Right.
The rain's been coming, but.
I know, but it comes, I didn't get to it, but as people, we build up impervious surfaces. We put down roads, we put up houses, we put things to funnel it into storm drains, we put edges on our roads to guide it to the storm drain, so a lot of that rain, it does not get into our aquifer. We're clogging the aquifer. Nature put up trees and a canopy of brush to help it get there. We got in the way, and if people don't use it accordingly, you're gonna put it and you're gonna send the water somewhere else and we won't have it anymore.
All right. Anything else for Wayne?
I mean, I'm just here to, I'm hired to run the place,
Yeah,
and that's
no.
what I see happening.
Yep.
I'm not a tree hugger. But unfortunately, I get to see a lot of things happening.
so we can have it in, and we don't have to come back next meeting, June 2nd, 5 PM, correct? Yep. All right, at this time, I will entertain a motion to enter the executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 38, Section 21, subsection 3, in regards to the appeal of the ZBA decision approving the proposed contractor's yard at 0 Matfield Street.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, not to return to,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say.
yeah, not to return
Public session.
to the public session. Okay, thank you, Ben.